What's up, guys? Welcome to the GSL Code S. Tastes and our Toasts bring you the second half of the round of 4. We already had a fantastic series in our initial match. Now we're into the second part of it, and I think it's going to be great.
Dude, it is packed in here because, of course, it's going to be great. Deer against Bjorn. This is crazy. Deer is back in his old form from when he was a GSL champion, from when he won the WCS regional event. And Bjorn is the best he's ever been right now. This guy is on fire. He's fighting for that BlizzCon spot and, of course, a spot in the finals against SOS.
That's right. I think no matter who moves on here tonight, we can be happy. Okay, we've got SOS already here. SOS doing better than we've really ever seen in a GSL Code S. And, of course, as you were saying, Bjorn is just playing phenomenally, which is really nice because a lot of the players we have, they're good for a little while, and then as time passes, they fade away. But Bjorn's been around since the very beginning, and he's looking just better than ever. Yeah, he had a peak way back in like 2011 or 12 max.
Yeah.
Okay, and like when you think back to when Deer was doing so well as well, wasn't that like the end of 2013? So it has been a long time for both these players, but they are at the top of their game and at the top of the scene. This is like, it's crazy to see this happen over and over again. It's like, okay, the best players are the best players. They just kind of, go into little slumps here and there. Yeah, Deer, remember when we first casted him in a GSL Code S, and during the round of 32, we were on, I think, a commercial break, and I remember turning to you and saying, wouldn't it be weird if this guy won? Because at the time, he was like,
he was the most Korean Protoss number 8.
Yeah, and even the idea was like almost generic enough. It was almost like word salady enough as far as what you picked that it just seemed like it was an odd choice. And then he actually won the tournament, and now he's here. He might be in the finals again, which is just so exciting.
Yeah, it's some crazy stuff indeed. Now, guys, don't forget, we're having our finals next Saturday, not tomorrow, but next Saturday, the ASL finals as well as the GSL Code S finals. 2 right in a row, starting at 2:30 p.m. If you want to come there live, come early. I think it's going to have a lot of people coming down to check that out. Both finals are going to be awesome. Make sure you have viewing parties. Send us little pics and whatnot.
Yeah, we actually love to get those guys, so feel free to tweet those at us.
We'd love to see that people actually want to watch this and stay up all night for the finals because it is so badass.
Well, it also gives us a good moment for us to get a glimpse into how you guys like to watch GSL. Do you put it up on the big screen? Are you watching it on your phone? Are you maybe at a bar craft, something like that? So that's going to be the StarCraft 1 and the StarCraft 2 finals all together in one day. Artos has already said it, but I'm going to echo it again here. Get there early because it does fill up.
Yeah.
It is. We had last finals people that flew in and didn't get there early enough and couldn't get seats and couldn't see it. So definitely
we don't
show
want
up
that
early.
to happen, you guys.
Yeah.
And make sure that you get online to watch it early too, because if you don't, online's going to fill up and there's not going to be any room left.
So that's going to be great. That's going to be the best day of StarCraft all year. I'm super looking forward to that. And honestly, this match tonight should be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for it, Tasteless. Like, this PVT is going to be just amazing. Deer is really in great shape now. Like, all year, I've kind of been on the fence about Deer, okay? He's been good. He's been a top 5 Protoss all year long, but I was like, oh, God, you're kind of missing a little bit of what you had in your prime. Like, there was like definitely quite a big difference between, like, let's say him and Zest. And even until just like a week ago, I felt like that was still the case until he played against TY and put out just an unbelievably good series. He really played as well as any Protoss in that series.
At the time, TY was almost one of these guys who were kind of defaulting into getting into the finals. And the fact that Deer is a very well-known player, very respected, but the fact that Deer did that well and actually overcame all odds and got and now here in the Final Four is insane, and we really have to evaluate Deer on a totally different level, which, by the way, makes me just slightly worried for Bjorn here.
Well, yeah, I mean, if Deer can beat TY, he can absolutely beat any Terran in the world. TY looked great as well. It wasn't like he was slouching. So Bjorn has his work cut out for him today. Can he keep his cool under pressure? Can he keep his nerves
it's a big
in
question.
check? This guy is teamless. He is a one-man army. He's going at this alone.
Yeah, he's the exception to the rule here right now in Korea, where
we always say you at the bare minimum have to be on some team, right? In order to get deep into a tournament, you have to be like pretty godlike to ever, especially in a GSL, to ever get this deep. Well, now this guy's actually doing it. Initially, it was Kesman teams, then we had people, surpass that. But now it's somebody like Björn who's saying, I don't even need to be on a team. I don't even need to be in a pro house.
Yeah, it's kind of inspiring, to be honest. Like, I've always appreciated and known about the powers of being in a Korean team, being in a Korean team house, but like Björn is so strong and so good that everyone just wants to practice with him anyways. And obviously he's self-motivating, keeping himself going, without a coach and everything. So it's quite a story indeed this guy gets so far.
해방선이 떴어요. 이게 사냥할 때 조식 동물은 도망가거든요. 체력 빠질 때까지 도망가는 걸 기다리잖아요. 변현우는 상대방이 체력이 빠질 때까지 기다렸죠. 실제
시간을 어려운 속에서도 자신의 본능을 이용한 원초적인 플레이로 승리 따냈습니다.
이런 엘리죠. 정말 100게임, 200게임 해봤자 한두 번 시작 나올까 말까요.
일단 되게 좋긴 한데 오늘 경기력이 좀 마음에 안 들어가지고 제가 동원이 형이 열심히 해가지고 좀 세레머니 하면 좀 그럴까봐 경기 전에 지은 선이 악수 요청하기로 했어요. 그래서
연결체 하게 되면 정말 어려웠던 경기인데 아무튼 카드이 승부수가졌는데 그때 백동준이 들어갔어요. 지금 대박이라도 그러면서도 지뢰고 수비병력 바로 배치해줬죠. 근데 좋아하면서 백동준이 너무 많은데요.
백동준이 많습니다. 이번 싸움에서 주도권 잡고 그냥 1라운드 단칼에 상대를 끌어내면서 4강 올라가는 백동준.
3시즌 연속 4강이라서 좋긴 한데 결승은 못 가서 굉장히 아쉬워요.
또 일주일 동안 또 특전 준비해야 되는데 백동준 선수는 이미 8강에 테란전 연습하고 오잖아요. 너무 불리한 것 같아요. 아유, 못 이길 정도는 아닌데 항상 경기하면 거의 5대5 정도 뜨거든요. 동준이가 올라와도 뭐 나쁘지 않은 것 같아요.
평소에 연습을 많이 자주 해와가지고 현우 형도 제가 좀 많이 잘 파악하고 있다고 생각해요. 그래서 약간 반반이지 않을까 싶어요.
딱 프로토스의 교과서 느낌? 그런 느낌?
진짜 안정적이게 하는 진짜 실력이 있는 선수라고 생각하고 있어요.
단점은 제가 잘 알고 있지만 동준이가 그걸 노릴 수도 있기 때문에 말하지 않겠습니다.
스타일이 진짜 다 달라요, 테란마다. 그 중에서 현우 형이 제일 스타일이 편한 것 같아요.
동준아, 또 챌린지에서 나만 2번 잡고 올라갔는데 나 아니었으면 너 탈락이었어.
그냥 형이 있었으니까 간 것 같고 진짜. 근데 뭐 저번에도 재물 되셨으니까 이번에도 뭐 재물 되셨으면 좋겠어요.
결승전 올라가게 살살 좀 해주라. 형 부탁한다.
뭐 아까 인터뷰 들어보니까 뭐 승부의 세계는 냉정하다고.
4년 만에 상황에 진출했는데 두 번이나 상황에 진출했었는데 2번 다 제가 떨어졌어요. 근데 또 이렇게 상황에 올라오게 됐어요. 4년 만에. 근데 좀 잡고 싶어요.
일단 우승한 지 굉장히 오래됐고, 그리고 진짜 4강에서 떨어지면 진짜 16강에서 떨어진 것만도 못한 약간 그런 느낌이 들어요. 항상 이번에 진짜 꼭 우승을 못하더라도 진짜 꼭 결승만큼은 꼭 가고 싶어요.
제가 또 32강에서 황강호 선수한테도 복수하고 안상호 선수한테도 복수하고 또 동아요. 그게 딱 속이 좋은데 지금 느낌이 좋은데 어렵게 잡은 기회에 꼭 열심히 노력해가지고 팬들한테 실망시키지 않도록 노력하겠습니다.
항상 경기장 찾아와 주시는데 정말로 항상 감사드리고, 그런 응원 때문에 불리하더라도 이기고 그런 경기가 나오는 것 같아요. 새 시즌 연속 4강인데 이번에는 꼭 결승 가가지고 꼭 우승하는 모습 꼭 보여드리고 싶어요.
All right,
guys, it's time for the coach interview.
Well, one
during
coach.
which
Beyond
Beyond
has no coach.
gets
so.
another interview. This is so awesome.
4강전 2경기 조금 전 선수들의 모습을 영상으로 만나보셨는데요.
Gary says the
오늘도
SOS
경기 전에
the
선수들의
opponent of SOS is
코치님을
about to be
만나서
decided.
궁금했던 이야기들 나눠보도록
Let's talk to the
하겠습니다.
coaches,
삼성
or one
갤럭시
coach as well as
코치와
Beyond.
변현우 코치가 나와 있습니다.
We have Stork.
안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
She's referring to his coach Beyond. He has no
처음
coach.
뵙습니다.
네.
아, 그간 변현우
He's
선수가 참 천안에서 왔다 갔다 힘들었거든요.
First time being interviewed as your own coach, huh?
밖에 나오는 걸 별로 안 좋아해가지고
네.
타강이다
I don't really go
보니까
outside that much.
힘써서
So it's my first time coming to the studio. He's of course doing a parody of what a coach would say.
올라가는 거 보기 위해
It's a very important match, so I thought it would be important for me to show up today.
정말 반갑습니다. 잘 오셨어요.
네, 잘 왔죠.
네. 자, 요즘 삼성 갤럭시 선수들이 참 분위기가 좋죠. 덩달아 스케줄이 빡빡한 송병국 코치인데요.
The Samsung Galaxy Con players are doing very well lately, especially advancing to the finals of the Star League.
탈락하고 팀이
네.
한가해야 하는 게 맞는데
We were knocked out of Pro League early on,
너무 잘하고 있다 보니까
맞아요.
but
있는 팀들보다 더
two players in the individual leagues are doing very well.
자, 이제
So all of
오늘
our
두
teammates are
선수가
trying to help them as much as they possibly can.
넘으면 바로 결승입니다. 그런 만큼 코치님들은 오늘 상대 선수에 대해서 어떻게 생각하고 계신지 궁금한데요. 오늘 상대 선수 어떠세요?
Tell us how you think about your opponent.
좀 잘한다고 생각은 하는데 그래도 네.
I think he's a pretty good player.
잘하죠. 네, 잘해요.
아, 우리 현우가 잘 넘을 수 있을까요?
근데 변현 선수가 연습 때 해보면
네.
But when we
못 이길
practice
정도는
against each other,
아니다고 하더라고요.
아,
the young wins a
제가-
lot of the time.
네, 제가 봐도 뭐 별로 그렇게 잘하는 것 같지. 아니 잘해요, 네, 잘해요.
아, 그렇군요.
So even though he's a strong player,
말씀하시는 게 많이 비슷하신 것
I think Beyond should be able to win
같은데. 자,
here
송병국
tonight.
코치의 평가는 어떤지 궁금하네요.
변현우 선수가 잘 하지만
네.
프로토스전이
Beyond's also a very strong player,
그래서 제일
but
부족하다고 생각을 하고 있고
Terran vs. Protoss is probably his
또
weakest
연습을
matchup.
동준이랑 좀 많이 했었어요.
네.
최근에 그래서 아무래도 종족 상성이 있기 때문에 동준이한테 더
Deer
유리한
and
것 같고
myself train together a
오늘
lot, and so
4강전을 개인적으로 좀
I
많이
feel like Deer
기대하고
knows his play style very well, and he personally doesn't think the Terrans are doing very well against Protoss right now.
박동준 선수가 벌써 3연속 4강입니다. 정말 감동이에요. 이 정도면
So for Deer, this is his third consecutive round of 4.
간절함이
But he never
느껴지는
advanced to the
게
finals.
개인 리그만 남게 돼서 저희 팀이 좀
Yep, that's why
자유롭게
he is so
연습을
hungry to
했거든요.
advance to the finals this time
16강이나
around.
8강 때는 좀 연습 시간 정해진 상태에서만 연습을 하다가 이번
네.
4강전 준비에서는
네.
밤늦게까지 알아서 연습도 하고 리플레이도 보고 엄청 열심히
He practiced a lot for the semifinals,
확실히 그
even
간절함이
more than he
느껴지고
practiced for the
있는데
quarterfinals and
변현우
round of
코치님
16.
보시기에 오늘 정말 팬분들 많이
And he told me it's going to be
왔거든요.
a very huge disappointment if he gets knocked out here.
네, 백동준 선수 팬이겠죠. 변현 선수는 별로 인기가 없어가지고
아하, 진심이세요?
팀도 없고 그래서
네.
아무래도 팀이
Beyond's
없으니까
teamless right now.
동준이 팬이 더 많지 않을까요?
아, 그렇군요.
She says there's sure a lot
자,
of fans
오늘
cheering for
경기에
Deer.
많은 분들이 참 관심을 가지고 있는데 예상 스코어 코치님들의 생각 들어보고 싶습니다. 변현우
Tell us about
코치님
your
어떻게
predictions.
생각하세요?
저는 변현 선수가 한 4대2 정도로
I think
패배하지
it's going to be a
않을까.
4-2 win for myself.
패배예요? 이게 뒤에서 듣고 있는데.
Oh, he said his
그럴 수도
prediction
있어요?
4-2 loss. Excuse me.
아, 그래요? 참 안타깝네요. 자, 송병국 코치님은 어떻게 생각하세요?
그렇게
And he
생각하고
says it's a
있다면
joke.
어차피
He says it's a joke. He hopes Beyond
4대0
doesn't hear that.
나왔으면
He's still doing a
좋겠는데
parody of being a coach.
그냥 제가 생각했을 때 4대3 정도로 갈 것 같아요.
아, 4대3 정도.
I think it's gonna be a very
박빙으로
close,
싸우긴 하지만
match
그래도 우리
tonight. I think it's
백동준
gonna be a
선수가
4-3
이길
win
것
for Deer.
같다.
네, 당연히 이기는 거는 당연한 거고
네.
4대3 정도로 좀 박빙의 승부가 나올 것 같아요.
그렇군요. 자, 이제 오늘 한 경기가 정말 중요하기 때문에 두 분이 정말 응원 메시지 힘을 가득 실어서 보내주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
Final message,
자, 우리 선수들 잘해라 하는 의미에서
players.
두 분의 응원 메시지 들어볼게요.
Before we start
먼저
this match.
송병국 코치님.
네, 3연속 4강에 이제 제가 생각하기에는 공허의 유산에서 지금 제일 잘하고
Deer,
있는
it's your third
프로토스라고
consecutive
생각을 하고
finals.
있고
네.
그래서
Or semifinals. I think you're the best Protoss in Legacy of the Void right now.
그거를 스스로 이제 입증시키는
And I think this is your best chance to advance to the finals and prove that you're the best Protoss
열심히
in the world.
준비했으니까 좋은 결과가 있을 거라고 생각을 해요.
네.
그래서
I know you put in a lot of
불안해하지 말고
effort.
자신감 가지고 했으면 좋겠습니다.
So I really hope it pays off for
진심이
you tonight.
느껴지는데요. 자, 변현우 코치님.
네.
여기서는 꼭 힘을 실어 주셔야 합니다. 마지막으로 응원의 메시지 들어볼게요.
제가 멀리서 이렇게 응원하러 왔는데
네.
떨어지면 너무 아쉬울 것 같아요.
He says I came from far away to cheer for Beyond
잘했으면
tonight.
좋겠습니다.
I'm gonna cheer really hard for him.
화이팅, 대전 화이팅.
hope he
네,
doesn't lose.
알겠습니다.
Get some
자,
cheers
이렇게
here.
두 분의
Where
응원을
Beyond is
들으면서
apparently being
이야기를
coached the entire
맡아보겠는데요.
time of that interview.
감사하고요. 그러면 오늘 4강전 2경기
It
본격적으로
just goes to show
시작해보겠습니다.
how absurd this is that he is fighting against the combined might of Kespa and winning right now.
Yes, the coaches normally take a backseat position until they get this deep into a tournament, right? Where obviously the coaches have to be doing something right in order for one of their players to get this far. But Beyond, he's actually here teamless. That's why he I don't know if the humor translated that well, but him pretending to be his own coach and talking about himself in third person was kind of cute, but also shocking to see somebody even be in the round of 4 with no coach, no mentor, nothing like that to help him out directly.
Yeah, it's this is just such a weird situation to be in right now as Beyond. Like we've just never had anyone that was teamless go this far since like the beginning of GSL. The thing is, once Kespa came along, then we could suddenly reduce it after like a season, maybe maximum 2, where there was both ESF and Kespa. Kespa took over completely. And that set of teams like supplies every player for every individual league all the time, except now Beyond has gotten through. The only notable person other than him that's done this before is DRG.
Well, with esports being as rigorous and as organized, more so than it's ever been before, the fact that Beyond is here now is insane. But this is Deer. This is not just a guy on a team. Yeah. This is a player who's won a GSL Codas. He's phenomenal taking out players like TY. I really am not sure who's going to win this. Dude, do you have any predictions before we start our Tosis?
Dude, I do feel like Deer will probably take it. Like, a lot of people have been saying Heart Beyond, Brain Deer. I'm kind of on that train. I'd love to see Beyond take it.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Deer, he's so solid. Like, and the thing is, what he showed against TY, that was another level up on his play. Like, he's been so solid forever. Like, he's just a great Protoss player, but like, the amount he stepped up against TY, I really felt like that was very different from the other play we've seen from him this year, where you can see, he's been to 3 round of 4s in a row,
right?
But it wasn't like he was ever going to win. Like, Zest crushed him last. It wasn't even close, right?
Very true.
And like, he kind of like has snuck his way through everything in SSL. He barely made it into the actual tournament. Barely in 3rd place in his group. And, there's all these different little stories like that where it's like, you're still so solid that you just know how to beat people all the time. But, like, now he's showing that real finesse, that real super strength that he showed before when he was a champion. So I do have to side with Deer here, unfortunately.
Here are the lineups of maps. They are
I shouldn't say it like that, but, Beyond, come on.
No, I mean, I would love to see Beyond go on. I think this is going to be very tough. The toughest match for him yet in this tournament. We're going to start things off on New Gettysburg, which is an interesting way to set the rhythm here. One of our more obscure maps. Yeah. Remember, it is actually first to 4 wins. These guys have had plenty of time to prepare. It's all going to come down to how they execute it now and how well they're able to read each other and make adjustments to their own play style so they can overcome each other.
Yeah, this is really cool too. The first 2 maps are going to set the pace hugely. Like, New Gettysburg is really considered Protoss favored, and King Sejong Station is really considered Terran favored. So
that's right.
These 2 maps, like, they have pulled no punches in picking the early maps to get that early lead.
We are moments away from starting this up. SOS is already in the finals, which, by the way, will be next Saturday at 2:30 p.m. ASL and GSL finals. But for now, we are going to the second half of our semifinals match. This is Beyond versus Deer, a best of 7 here at the GSL Codas. Over here in the blue, our Terran player.
Beyond.
It's one of those where it's hard to tell if they're bottom left or bottom right.
Yeah, I always play it safe there. Yep. I don't do locations anymore on this map. Oh, look at that. It's uncanny how much that's like Beyond.
It looks just like him.
Yeah. Down here in the red, our Protoss player. He is
the
Samsung Galaxy.
Actually, the starting spots too on this map. Like, literally today, I was doing a little bit of ladder, and as soon as my game started in New Gettysburg, I always like hotkey the locations of all the bases, like my first 4 bases, and I click the mini map. So I just really quickly with my mouse clicked the minimap and hotkeyed my second base, my natural. And then when I was like cycling, I'm like, oh, I clicked on the base on the other side of the map because I didn't know which side I was actually on when I started.
No, I've done that, especially if I start out on one side on a map.
Yeah.
And then I'm on the same map again, but I'm on the other side, but I don't realize it immediately, just due to the layout of where the minerals are and everything like that. It's pretty funny. As we go into this game on this map, we do see a probe sent out very quickly to get inside of the main base here of Beyond.
Yeah, you had to go around because there was a depot blocking the path. But just real quick to mention, double gas taken immediately by Deer.
Yeah.
So he took the double gas and then went into a Nexus. So that's like a little bit different from what we normally see. It's going to make him have a later Cybernex core than we normally see as well. So I mean, this is very gas heavy what he's doing. It's not necessarily bad. He's just getting a lot more gas a lot earlier than what we're used to seeing in regular Protoss openers. So,
well, you got to remember, like, who's his coach, right? I mean, Stork is such a good player. If you guys aren't familiar with the old Brood War pros, Stork was easily top 4 of all time. And when it came to build orders, he might have been number 1. So, I mean, this is definitely like the kind of coach you'd want.
Yeah.
Stork is the kind of guy who's definitely going to help you engineer a build that's going to be really good. So if you guys are following to learn or to steal builds, whatever Deer's doing, definitely Stork had a hand in it.
Yeah.
And it might be something worth stealing for your own purposes.
I would agree with you on that one, Tasteless. By the way, we have to point out, Byun is literally making a third command center at the third base location. This is a big risk, but I think he's looked at the map and accurately assessed that he probably should take some sort of risk here.
And I think this is not necessarily what was in the blueprints of his build.
Yeah.
And at the start, when he went in here, but he probably saw the quicker Nexus and thought, okay.
He actually didn't scout it yet.
He hasn't scouted yet?
He hasn't scouted. He's just chilling, man.
Okay.
This is just like
that makes that extraordinarily weird that he's doing that. I actually assumed the way we were talking here that there was a scout, but you're right. I don't believe there was an SCV that came over here.
I'm quite sure he's assuming that there's a Nexus just because, like, this map is, like, Protoss can just take a Nexus and do any tech and be fine. Like, you know, it's totally fine. So
no, I think you are correct, Artosis, because if you look, I think if Beyond were to have scouted, he would have gone through the bottom path, right? Yeah. He has control over that, and we don't see anything that is actually tracked through that area.
No.
So no, he's just not saying. Well, this is super interesting from him. You know, as each iteration of StarCraft comes out, you know, where they change all the units and everything like that, it's kind of funny. We always see rush builds being strong early on, and then we see the macro builds kick in later here. And I guess we're at that phase, at least in Beyond's mind's eye. And so, yeah, 3 command centers, and now a third Nexus being taken over here. These guys are gobbling up expos on the map like crazy.
They certainly are doing that. A scan goes off, but it doesn't see anything out of the ordinary. I guess the weirdest thing is seeing 2 gateways there. But, no, I mean, this is really interesting from Deer. Like, I mean, obviously Byun is taking this kind of risky play, but Deer has, I don't know what his opening was. I think that it was like maybe he was getting ready for certain things to happen and they didn't happen. He just changed it into more normal play. But yeah, with him not really scouting and him sitting back, Byun is actually kind of getting ahead as far as the economy goes with such a fast third command center.
I don't think we've really seen a TVP that looked exactly like this on this map. We've really seen this kind of go into a very different direction. There's been a lot more rushes and a lot more very technical, you know, aggro builds here. But in this case, they're both just expanding and beginning to try to outbase each other here while they're getting every upgrade imaginable.
Okay, this scout is really interesting, okay? He saw the factory, but he didn't see the starport. He waited till he killed the observer to start the starport, and that masks the timing of it.
Hold up.
Okay, the second observer sees the starport timing. Okay, now, if Deer is like trillion% on top of actual timings here somehow, then he can start to think, is there a third command center? And in fact, he's sending up his observer.
All right, so Beyond has been exposed here. Deer knows pretty much the rest of the rhythm of this game. Now, it's going to be a rhythm he's probably not as used to playing against.
Yeah.
At least in the matches that we've casted and seen here in Korea. We don't see bases quite taken at this rhythm by either player on this map. But he may try to poke out here. Seeing that there's a third base, it's not going to be that easy for Terran to defend this. How many? What do you? Does he have 3 sentries total?
Yeah, something like 3.
So
and he's
that
about
might be
to have
enough.
Glaives done with +1. That's the real kicker right
Yeah,
there. But
well,
combat
plus
shields are about to finish.
Medevacs are not out and with the army just yet, so he can actually come in here and shave off a chunk of that army and then run away again too. That's always something.
Yeah, I think that just straight up, Bjorn has enough that Deer can't do this right now.
You don't think he can poke at all?
Well, he could poke and use a couple force fields, but then he's going to run out of energy pretty quick because he only has 2 sentries.
Now that the medevacs are out here, he might wait a little bit. There is a Warp Prism he's going to use to harass, but meanwhile, a drop over here in the bottom right.
Well, this certainly changes things, and they actually should see each other here. I'm not sure if they actually spotted each other, though. And
well, this may trigger Deer to attack, actually.
Yeah, this is going to be a great time. With that many units missing, he could definitely be in trouble. Look at this lineup of pylons, though.
And there's also a drop over here in the main, but we don't know if there's anything actually available to help defend over here in the Protoss' main base. He might try to end up going for the 3rd instead, but
yeah, it looks like there's plenty to defend for Deer. He's got a great pylon set up. He's just got a ridiculous amount of adepts over there as well. This is a great attack by Deer. Oh, man. Just wrecking.
At this point in time, Deer has done way more damage than Beyond has. Beyond is definitely making Deer work to have his base be safe and well defended, but overall, I'd say Beyond is in a lot more trouble than Deer.
Yeah.
In fact, the 3rd command center lifted off here.
Yeah, he's going to lose a bunch of depots. He's already lost a ridiculous amount of SCVs. His economy is so badly hurt right now. There's not there's not a lot of good things to say about Beyond's position.
You know, I don't think it was wise for Beyond to do that drop right when he saw that army outside of his base.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, it's not a tough. 2 medevacs that early? Like right when you get your first 2, you send them out?
If your opponent has a prism, with a mothership core, and at this point they have to have at least 7 gateways. I mean, 2 medevacs are probably not going to end the game.
Bunker.
Whereas you could be ended by the types of moves that Protoss does. So, yeah, I mean, it was a little bit weird and greedy that he went for that.
We're Prism bugging out here. He's going to have to micromanage that. Okay, he's going to try to come in here now. I don't know if he knows about these Widow Mines, which might make quick work of all these. No, he backs off. I was going to say if he got right on top of that, all of that would end up dying. That'd be one little victory there for Beyond. But Deer is just going to keep his position. He knows he's ahead on bases, so he doesn't really have to try to go in for the kill move. He can instead just get more and more ahead.
He certainly is doing that too. I like that he's continuing to poke also. No reason not to poke, really. Okay, oh man, just blinks right up there. Decent Widow Mine hit comes off, and he has a good spread of units here, but this is starting to go towards Beyond.
No, he should not have done that. He should probably just stay back.
I liked him trying to pick off some tech units and all that. That was really good.
Yeah, but when he committed in there, I mean, the Stim Marauders are just going to kill all those Stalkers. There aren't enough depths where it just runs over the other player.
Yeah, I think this is where he should really pull back all the way. He's taking a 4th base. He's getting additional tech. He's pumping out Immortals. This really seems to me like the moment where if he goes back and just defends really well, maxes out, and then walks across the map, this game should be his.
Well, here's the difference between the 2 positions is that Deer has a lot of options, I think, on how he wants to approach this. I think that Beyond is taking that 3rd base again, but in a very uncomfortable fashion, right? I mean, you don't particularly feel safe on this, right?
Yeah, no,
even though he did a good engagement, or handled Deer's engagement, I should say, pretty well. This is, well, hold on. Looks like he's going to try to move out here, Deer is, and he may end up meeting this army. Let's see if he actually has enough at this point in time. There's a lot of Widow Mines, so we definitely want to watch and see where they connect.
Oh, really good blinking to pick off one of those Widow Mines. Widow Mines so crucial to engagements like this. Thing is, he doesn't have any way to force a bad fight from Deer. He needs to get some Liberators, and he is making some, so that's good, but Deer really still has control. He's posturing over on Beyond's side of the map. Beyond can't... he needs to harass a little bit, but he doesn't really have enough supply to.
Yeah, it's actually, I believe, 178 supply to 142 now. And that's a pretty scary number. That's a big enough of a difference. When you look at the workers here, Deer has a little bit more, but even if you were to get rid of the workers entirely, Deer should have a little bit more muscle in his army.
Totally. Okay, he's starting to attack up into this 3rd base now. The Liberation Zones come out. He does have to pull back. A shade into the natural, starting to wipe out some of these SCVs.
Now, he did manage to kill off all of those at depth, so that was 10 more SCVs killed. Now, we want to make sure Deer doesn't overextend her, but he's actually attacking it right now.
Insane Widowmine hit just went off there. Really, really good for Beyond.
Deer is doing everything right, but when he gets a big lead, he just tends to overextend and move in, and he ends up having too many of his units shaved off.
He's doing that like a little bit right now. The Army supplies are getting a lot closer, and in fact, so are the worker supplies. Now, Deer does have 4 bases, and he's adding a lot of tech at home as well as getting double upgrades, so like he still should be ahead unless he really donkeys off his army. But like he's
you said donkeys off his army?
It would be like you know, like a donkey in poker or something, like someone that just throws things.
I was wondering where the reference came from.
He truly have to throw away his army to get like super behind here. But that is something that could happen.
Okay, War Prism's going to come in here, probably applying a little bit more pressure to the back, and he can actually get this set up where he can get another huge warp in. Now we're going to. Is he going to actually unload? Or okay, he actually is going to warp in, and the unload will happen right over
target that prism.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, he could have easily killed that. Well, I guess he can kill all the units anyways, but...
Yeah, he can kill all the units here, but there's still enough at depths. It's a problem, and then you got to remember there's going to be this push coming up right over here.
Ooh, this push doing a very good job. Okay, the Widowmine does all right there, but with 2 Colossus as well as Immortals in here, this is very hard for Beyond to hold on.
Okay, he's beginning to push up here. I don't believe there's enough up at the Terran expansion, the 3rd base here to hold this. And, of course, coming here from the bottom, I don't see any Terran units coming in. Once again, all the workers are massacred.
Okay, he's setting up a little bit more here. His Widowmines are still there as well. There's no observer here for Deer to see what's going on underneath.
I think if he scoots over to the left like this, though, he can play around that. And then he takes out the command center.
Yeah.
GG! Deer crushes in game number 1.
No reason for Beyond to stay there any longer. Very good, solid finishing move from Deer. You know, there was definitely points where he was fighting less well against Beyond's army.
Right.
But, you know, there's actually some intelligence in that as well. Like, he's keeping Beyond completely busy while he completes his tech for that death move. And,
well, let's point out how odd the start of that game was. He actually took 3 bases and